Hello. So yesterday we were in a training with someone called Anique and 𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁, and something that came up which caught my attention, which is we're in a trust recession right now. Now, I noticed this back in 2022, actually, that it was starting to happen. And many of my clients were saying, Tina, these leads aren't very good. And it was not that the leads weren't so good, it's just they needed more touch points, okay? Now, something very interesting that 𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁 brought up 2 days ago was that right now, Google's working out what's going on, and they actually shared their findings, their analytics. And that was this, which is really interesting, is that on average, okay, because you only got statistics, you know, it's an average, people need 7 hours of content. I'm going to also say contact, that means seeing you, okay? They need 11 touch points, and they also need you to be full platform. So I thought I'd actually go through this, what it actually means right now, because not everybody uses the online space, or if they do, they don't do it in a way that makes a difference, let's say. Okay, so 7 hours of content. I'm going to use just 3 examples. One is you could go networking. It takes a lot of time. If you think about how many people you could speak to in a networking event and how many times, how many of those people would actually get back in contact with you, how many email addresses or telephone numbers you actually collect from your ideal prospects or clients or, you know, colleagues at these networking events nowadays. A lot of people will chat to you and they know that they don't want to be sold to anymore. There's only a few people these days that go, whoa, you're just who I'm looking for, because there are loads of other people doing what you do, okay? And you'd have to have a long conversation about the right things for them to go, yeah, you're the one, and you get their details. Even if you do get the details, you still then have to follow up. How are you doing this? Are you doing this with phone calls? Are you doing this with Zoom meetings? Are you doing this with a series of emails? Okay, even if you've got emails going out right now, those people are also getting hundreds of emails, a lot of them going into spam if you haven't warmed up your email address. There's so many different things happening right now, you know, even if you've got their telephone number, you might be calling them. They might be in meetings, they might be already busy. Your ideal prospects are going to be busy, to be honest. They're the ones who've got cash to spend with you if you're looking for business. Okay, so just bearing all that in mind. So networking is one way of doing it, okay? But you need to have 7 hours with people. One person needs 7 hours of you, okay, for them to start trusting you. Talking about trust recession. Another way of doing it is actually being a speaker on the stage, which is brilliant. More people actually see you. And you could spend hours in front of people if they keep turning up to your events or the events that you're at. But it actually takes a lot of organisation and a lot of practice to be a speaker on stage. And is it worth the energy and time of travelling all over the area where you are? If you're in the UK, it's not quite so far. If you're in America, you have to go to a lot of different cities and different states and stuff to show up in front of your ideal clients, okay? So that's another thing. And you've got to be in front of the right people for 7 hours, okay? You can do both. I know people who are very successful. They do both speaking or educate people on stage, okay? And if they do it well, they will capture attention. But you've got to also remember that there are more people in the world right now, which is okay, but you've got to capture the attention of the right people. So as well as being on stage, you still need to go network. And if you're on stage these days, there's usually more than one of you on stage. Usually there'll be a group of at least 10, okay? And how big is the audience? And how many of those audience are actually going to remember that you were the person who actually conveyed the information that they needed in a way that they understood as well, okay? Because people are only taking 10% of the information. How interesting were you? Did you capture their attention? So you have all of that to deal with if you are trying to get your 7 hours of content physically and personally. Now, there is another way of doing it, which is what we use, which is video on social media. This is actually useful because we can actually build an audience of those people who are already interested in what you do in the subject. And if you know how to solve that problem, we can actually get you in front of those particular people. And then it's much easier to get your 7 hours of content in front of them. In fact, you can do it in several different ways. Once you've captured your audience, okay, you could actually give them different like group events, like challenges and stuff. And with that, you could even have their email address And if you understand how email marketing works as well, find someone to do it for you. You could use that as a way of getting part of your 7 hours, your videos, retargeting. You can have also blog posts going out. You've got your website, of course. It's much, much easier in my way of thinking. Quicker, easier, less painful, no travel involved at all. And you can also include speaking on stage, include your networking, and also do your online stuff, okay? Which then brings us to the touch points, okay? Touch points, 11 touch points. What the heck does this mean? Now I've made notes because otherwise I go off on tangents. So basically, a condensed version of it is your audience. And it's like a person, actually, one person that's more like it, seeing your brand, or you, if you are your personal brand. I'm my personal brand, okay? And at any point, okay? Physical, in person or online, okay? So touch points is how many times they see you up on stage, networking, maybe you're at an event because you showed up and you get to chat to people, email marketing, blogs, okay? Same thing again of how we went through the 7 hours of content. But this helps with that trust recession, okay? Because psychology, okay? The more times that someone sees you or your brand, either, both, okay, as long as people understand you or your brand, the more they're going to trust you. It's strange, isn't it? Even if you are somebody who's not doing the right thing, they will start to trust you or pay attention to you. Okay? Now, if you're showing up and being helpful, actually, it's much quicker. Okay, but this is like, as I say, this is a generalized statistic. Okay, so if you are showing up with the right type of content, it's much likely to be less than 7 hours if you're making sense to those people. So we could speed it up, yeah. So 11 touch points is the amount of times they need to see you or see your brand if that's how you're going forward. Okay. Now, other things that you can do for touch points that don't involve you yourself are things like billboards. Okay. Mass leaflet drops. A lot of leaflets obviously go in the bin with the other leaflets that come through the door. Even if you have your own personalized leaflet drop, there's still other leaflets going through the door. So you've got to, kind of go with that if that's what you want to do. And it's not that leaflets don't work. If it's the right time in someone's life that they need you, like I'm going to take real estate, for example. Someone's thinking about selling the house and your leaflet comes through the door and it's got the right advertising and marketing speak on it. They're going to think, yeah, that's what I'm looking for right now. How handy is that? Or we are thinking about selling soon. Let's put that on the fridge. Okay, that's where ours goes. So it's not that it doesn't work. It's just that it's got to be the right time. And it's got to be their thinking of it. People think of selling their houses before they sell their houses, so it's possible, okay? If you've got a restaurant or a takeaway, perfect for leaflet drops, especially if you've got a really good picture of juicy pizza on there or what it is you serve that are people's favourite dishes. Very captivating. Chinese takeaways, Chinese deliveries and stuff. Having a list of what you got, that's always really useful. Yeah, menus and stuff. How they can call you, how they can get into contact, your opening hours, all those things, that's really useful for leaflet drops. There are certain things that I don't think are useful at all for leaflet drops, but that's okay. I'm not going to go into this in too much detail. But things like postcards, that's really good for estate agents, real estate agents, okay? The Super Bowl, apparently that's really famous. I'm not from America, so excuse me guys, my son tells me that's the epitome of this kind of thing. Times Square. Yeah, that's massive. That's been around for so long. Even I know what that is. Okay, but things like anything where they're seeing your face, okay, they're hearing your voice and they see what you can do, how you can help them solve their problem. This is what touch points is about. And apparently the average is 11 times, okay, but it still needs 7 hours, usually in general, okay. Now, for platforms, they go to see in different places now. So just showing up in one place might not be enough anymore. Okay. I know that my mentor tells me that, first of all, she puts a tweet out first of all, or X, yeah, or whatever they call it these days. I mean, I put tweets out. And then she does a short video on how she would solve one problem on Instagram. That's one of her favourite platforms. And then she'll go to Facebook and YouTube to then elaborate on that idea for the day. And then she's got these things going out every single day. So she's got 4 platforms. Like, she also networks, she also speaks at events, she also teaches people. She's got loads of things going on. She's very successful because of that. But minimum 4 platforms, okay? So how can you do that? Well, you could, like we do, set up a GHL account or some kind of online software that posts your stuff everywhere. Now, ideally, though, you want to be doing different types of content for each platform, because otherwise, if they know it's all the same, like mine generally is, they'll just stick to the one platform, okay? So they're not seeing you everywhere. But this is about building trust, okay? It's not to say if you're not doing this that it doesn't work. It's just this is going to speed things up for you. So if you've got a goal to bring in a certain amount of clients every month, okay, this is what you probably want to look at right now, because this is what Google Analytics. Google's quite big, so I'd listen to them. I tend to. I mean, I'm actually thinking about changing how I'm doing certain things, like having different types of videos going out to Instagram. I do put stories out when I'm out and about. Putting things on your personal pages too is quite useful, and putting a few personal things on your business pages so people get to know your personality is also useful. Showing things that you can do, not how you do things, is really powerful right now. So people actually get to learn what it is you're doing. This is actually really important for people like who are doing real estate agency, because as somebody who's actually had to sell quite a lot of her portfolio in the last 6-7 years, I found that I didn't know who to choose because I had no idea who's doing what. And I had made some bad choices, and I knew what I didn't want to happen for my next property sales. But trying to find out who did what was really difficult. And no offense to anybody who's in this industry, but just showing that you've sold some houses isn't good enough, unfortunately. You need to tell people what you're going to do. Now, we had a really good example of this last summer, where an amazing agent actually contacted us wanting to get in front of her local audience. And what she did was, we created about, I think it was a maximum of 10 videos just telling people how the process was going to work for them. And then they felt, oh, I didn't realize it was that easy. And they were coming to find her. They were coming to the office asking for her directly, saying, hey, is Jules here? I'm ready to sell my house. I've got this prepared. They were getting their house ready before she even went to value it, because she'd explained that if you did, it's much easier to sell your house. So all these little things, letting people know what it is you do, so that when they come to you, they're already trusting you because you've already let them know. It's actually called allegiance capital as well. There are certain formulas you can use to make this much easier. Now, right now, this is another subject for another day, but just putting content out these days, any old content, isn't enough either. You've got to imagine what they need to see. And there's another formula that I learned from Andy Gwynn. And it's not just from Andy Gwynn, but Andy Gwynn reminded me of this the other day on his own 𝗏𝗏𝐿𝑚𝑝I training, LinkedIn Mastery for property investors, that you've always got to think about this for your content. What's in it for them? Okay? Because if they don't get what's in it for them, they're not going to watch your content. Okay? They'll just pass you by. So that is something really important to remember too. So if you're actually looking to do this kind of thing to get ahead, yeah, you want to think about your customer. I've always put it as, put yourself in their shoes. Why would they want to know? Why would they want to watch? Why would they stop and use their time, which is precious, to actually watch what you got? It's like reading a book these days. I know about you guys, I've got loads of books still to read, but if I get in it and I can't understand why I'm even spending my time on the book, I'll read that later. I can see that the front cover is obviously something that I want, but the book's not, hitting the spot, let's say, I'm not interested. I've got a lot of other things to do right now. So all those things are really, really important. But we are in a trust recession in 2025. In fact, we've been in a trust recession for probably about 18 months easily now, especially with a lot of different industries. And this is important information because Google found this out and they're massive. Okay, so I would pay attention to this if I'm a business and trying to find clients for it, and especially if you're finding that you've not got enough clients coming through right now. You want to be paying attention to this. Okay. Now, if you want some help with getting your 7 hours of content, your 11 touch points, and your 4 platforms right now with very specific content, this is what we do. You can come and find us quite easily on my website, which is easy because it's my name, TinaSandford.com. That's for the sand for the beach and Ford for the car. Okay. So got a very simple website. I'm not going to sell you anything, but there's a contact page and there's little buttons. So if you want to have a chat with me about how we could help you with this, I'm all ears right now. I've got made some extra time. I've stopped a little bit of my mountain climbing and my cycling and going to the beach, because I'm actually really intent on helping people get this up right now. Because if you're good at what you do and you're really experienced, I think it's really important you get out there. Just like I thought that for the UK estate agents, the good ones needed to show up, and they've started doing that. And people started paying attention to who are the good estate agents rather than going, purple bricks. Sorry, any purple bricks that are good. Okay, but my experience of purple bricks was dire. But there's some really good businesses out there. There's some really good, salespeople out there. There's really, really good companies out there. Yeah, business owners, service providers, all those coaches, course creators. And if that's you and you're recognizing that you're not getting enough clients right now because nobody knows what you do and they're not trusting you, okay, your stuff's no longer working, give us a shout, because we've got some things that work, okay? And we're more than happy to help people. That's what we're trying to say.